What's up, Casino Maniacs? I am back. Today I'm going to be answering more of your Marvel Strike Force questions. We got a lot of good stuff. Questions like, how do I come up with such great original series ideas? So we're going to be answering all that and more. You guys know what to do. Let's go splash it! What's up, guys, and welcome to the official first episode of Ask Khasino. This is the series where you guys ask questions in the Discord channel and I answer them. It's that simple. So, going forward, Veteran, the channel video editor, is going to be the one choosing the questions that get featured here. I know he looks at which ones have the most upvotes. However, if it's super important to you to get your question featured in an episode, Veteran is the one that you want to bribe or extort. Alright, having said that, let's jump right into the questions. Kicking us off, Buck Naked asks, do you think the amount of superior Spider-Man shards for both the High Roller and Save the World milestones are at all justifiable? Many think it's an FU to the boycott. Do you agree? I definitely wouldn't agree that it's an FU to the boycott, just because the developers want everyone having fun, enjoying the game. They don't want to send an FU message to any of their players, so I don't think that's what they were going for. I think this is just another instance of terrible Foxnext communication. They have a habit of having things planned that alleviate problems or issues caused by things that they put live, and they don't communicate it, and it lets everyone get upset for absolutely no reason. So for example, we just found out specifically with these Symbiote Spider-Man milestones that they were planning on repeating them, ultimately giving people more Symbiote Spider-Man shards than any previous character milestone of this type. That would have been excellent information to have if they had included that in the in-game mail when it launched. There was no reason not to tell us that, other than to cause confusion and outrage. So, while I don't think that Foxnext are malicious, I think that they can be very incompetent at times, so I just chalk this up to more of their awful communication that really needs to be improved. Next up, Raid Shadow Legends asks, would you mind doing a quick ad for our game? Sure. So real quick, I wanted to give you guys the heads up on Raid Shadow Legends. Raid Shadow Legends is a free-to-play, epic, dark fantasy, turn-based hero collection RPG with over 400 collectible and customizable champions. Smashing through waves of enemies with your team is a lot of fun, and there's no shortage of things to do. Between campaigns and quests, dungeons, faction wars, arena, clan bosses, etc., you will always find something to do if you have that thirst for action. I also really like that there's a news tab in-game, so you can always keep up to date on the freshest happenings. You can even play Raid on both your mobile and on your desktop. The game is cross-device, you can play it on the same account and easily switch between devices whenever you want. The graphics are amazing on the PC version and the game runs super smooth as well. So you can find me in-game under the username Khasino, and if you're quick enough, you can also join my clan. So what are you waiting for? Go to the video description, click on the special links, and if you're a new player, you'll get 100,000 silver, an energy refill, a 1-day XP boost, and a free champion, Executioner. Note that these rewards are only available for the next 30 days. Alright, next up, CB Jones123 asks, are you aware of any incoming orb opening events? I'm not a fan of them, even when they have great rewards, because hoarding orbs means sacrificing the satisfaction of small rewards very often for the not guaranteed potential of something great once in an event, for example. I'm simply ready to quit this hoarding kick I'm on, but as free to play, I am fearful if I do, I'll lose a possible mechanism which could help me keep pace with some of the non-free to play folks. So, I am not aware of any incoming orb opening events. However, I agree with you that it's a pretty safe bet that sooner or later there will be more orb opening events. They tend to do them decently often, and I think they do it specifically to combat people hoarding orbs, so there probably will be another one. I would say it depends on where you're at, which orbs I would hoard. For example, I have most of the characters unlocked and at high star, so if I open premium orbs, there is a good chance that the shards that I get are not going to help me, they're just going to go towards Ultimus orbs, so for me it makes sense to save them for an orb opening event, but just kind of take a look at your roster. You know, if you are 15 or fewer Minerva shards away from starring up Minerva, and you have a bunch of premium orbs, it probably makes sense to just go ahead and open them so you can get that star up and get that power jump. So with each orb, it kind of depends on how much would it benefit you now versus how much would it benefit you later. And for example, like with red stars, I don't really think that there's a point in hoarding red stars unless you know that you're waiting for an upcoming character who's going to be featured in them. I would pretty much open them on the spot because any red star orb could have a 7 red star that completely changes how effective you can be in a particular game mode or something like that. So if you decide to stop hoarding, I think that that's fine. If you decide to continue hoarding, I think that's also fine. It's a trade-off of power now versus power later, and without knowing what the rewards would be from an orb opening event, there's no way to know if it's worth it. But I think they're both the right call. At the end of the day, as long as you open those orbs at some point, you're going to get the value of what's in them, so I wouldn't stress about it too much. All right, next up, Greg A asks, could we get an option to sim battles using basic attacks only? I guess we could. I have no say in this whatsoever. I don't tell the developers what features to implement, but I get what you're asking, and I have been also suggesting that they introduce a basic only autoplay mode for some of the modes that we can already auto. So I'm in support of that, but I have no idea if we'll ever actually get it, and I have no say. All right, this next question is from Deadpool. So, at least several players I know and talk to have the same opinion. Why is the curve so steep for new content? I mastered the previous top tier challenges at like 230k. Now I have gear 13 and I can't get past the first wave of the new challenges. I understand they don't want it all beaten day one, but that feels really horrible to be way stronger and not get anywhere. Same principle could be applied to Ultimate 7. What are your thoughts on this? So, essentially, you're going to have people complaining either way, and it's just a matter of what do you want them complaining about. If the new content is too hard, then people complain, this isn't fun, I keep losing, it's too hard. On the flip side, if it's not that hard and people are able to beat it, then you have people complaining, well, that was too easy, and now I'm back to having nothing to do, and you're not giving us any new content, and I was only playing that for like a day. So, personally, I think it's good to have certain things that are very tough to do, and I believe specifically with the challenges, they intended to balance the high-end ones around gear tier 14, and the power difference between gear tier 13 and gear tier 14 is massive. It's like 32% better stats going from gear tier 13 to gear tier 14, so I think they intended for this to be really, really, really tough on purpose, and it's because one of the main complaints from people lately is that there hasn't been any new content, and people only complain that there's no new content when they're done with all the old content. You'll never hear people who still have plenty of things to do complaining that they have nothing to do. So I think that they made this really, really tough so that it'll occupy people for a while and give them something to do, and then also, if you're gonna have something in the game that's very, very challenging, I think it's only fair that they put it where they're referring to them as challenges. So this doesn't bother me that much. Yes, losing is frustrating, but I think ultimately having content that is tough to do is good for the game. Alright, next question. Jedi Gunny asks, will you update XMen T4 Essentials, or does current one still apply with Cyclops now released? I am intending to update that, but the only thing that's really changed about it is Cyclops. You could give the Wolverine ult a little bit more value because he'll frequently get a free turn from Cyclops, so he'll ult on turn 2. So maybe the Wolverine ult is a bit more important, but otherwise the only real changes are going to be to Cyclops, and in my opinion, Cyclops just needs his passive and his ultimate, and that's it. So those are the changes. I will eventually update it, but it is not that high up on my list, but good question. Alright, next up, Busy asks, why do you hate the community so much? You don't stand with us publicly for anything. Please don't give me the I fight behind the scenes crap. As one of the biggest CC for this game, your value isn't what you do behind the scenes, it's what you do in your videos. Stop undermining the community's push for change. Oof, alright, so let's start from the top. So firstly, this is what's known as a false premise. You're asking me a question that can't possibly be answered. You're asking me what my explanation is for something that's not true. Of course, I don't hate the community. In fact, I try to do everything I possibly can to help the community. If I can put out a guide video, or an infographic, or answer someone's questions on Discord, or Facebook, or Twitter, or Line, you name it, I am just always looking for opportunities to help the community in any way that I can. So, we'll throw that out. You don't stand with us publicly for anything. So, suggesting that I don't stand with the community for anything is preposterous. In fact, I think it's like within like 5 video releases prior to this, I put out a video all about how I thought FoxNext was doing a huge disservice to the community regarding their Black Bolt release method, and that I wanted it to be a lot more free-to-play friendly than it was, and just, yeah, basically just called out FoxNext for doing something I thought was directly against what the community wants, and obviously that wasn't self-serving. I got 6-star Black Bolt anyway. I did that to try to help the community and no other reason. Next up, please don't give me the I fight behind the scenes crap. As one of the biggest CC for this game, your value isn't what you do behind the scenes, it's what you do in your videos. I disagree with that as well. The devs are much more receptive to things that I tell them directly rather than publicly blasting them. I will resort to making a video if I feel like they're not listening to me, and that allows me to show them how much community support things I'm saying have, but definitely it is more effective to basically tell them that they're being idiots just between me and them, rather than making a video and letting everyone know I think they're being idiots. They just tend to appreciate that a little bit less, and ultimately, I would rather them respect the approach I'm taking and have them be actually listening to what I'm saying. And finally, stop undermining the community's push for change. So, if anything, I only see my role in this as trying to help the community's push for change. Regarding this boycott, the very first advice that I gave was wait to do this, wait until they announce all the new content they have coming out, wait until they announce that they're going to be making changes to Red Stars, wait, because if you don't wait for that, they're going to immediately state that they have been working on this stuff the entire time and just pull the rug out from under you and basically take a lot of the wind out of your sails before you even start. And I want a lot of the things you guys want, so I want this to be effective. So that was one of the main reasons I said just wait on the boycott, not don't do it. I don't think it was inherently a terrible idea, but I am trying to get them to do it in a way that I think will actually work and bring about the change that the community wants. But yeah, I hope that clarified things for you. Alright, next up, Rooster asks, if Black Panther brings a character below 25% health and Black Bolt finishes that character off with his passive, does BP gain turn meter? I can't test it myself as I don't have Black Bolt, but I'm thinking no, since Belt's passive is not an actual assist. So this is an excellent question, and it got me really curious, so I went ahead and tested it myself, and it turns out Black Panther does not gain the turn meter if Black Bolt is the one who kills the target. You are correct, it is not actually an assist, so it is considered to occur outside of Black Panther's turn. Check it out. Alright, next up, Hallow asks, when's the next Q&A vid? It's right now. Alright, next up, AXS Orbit asks, can we get a T4 Hydra video? No. Alright, next up, Nexus13 asks, why do you have music on your Twitch streams? If we watch them after the live broadcast, large chunks of audio are gone because of copyrighted music. So I definitely understand what you're saying here. I go back and forth on this a lot, and I'm absolutely willing to basically hold a vote and get rid of the copyrighted music if it seems like there are enough people that go back and watch the Twitch streams after the fact. But mainly I've just been sampling the people actually in attendance at the Twitch streams, and they really enjoy being able to just song request whatever songs they've been listening to. So I mainly have been continuing to do that because it increases people's enjoyment of the live Twitch streams as they're happening. But I understand that they're very, the music is very non-essential to what's actually going on. So I'll probably put out some kind of poll or survey soon to see how many people feel like that's really critical to the experience. And if most people feel it's not, then I will definitely get rid of it, but I hear you. Alright, next up, Demon Dread says, hi there, thanks for the amazing content and greetings from Bulgaria. Thank you very much, and what's going on? A lot of games are using visuals as part of the indicator for the progression of characters. Currently, we only have the frame of the character portrait. Do you think it will be cool to add that in after a specific gear tier? For example, if Thor reaches gear tier 11, he gets the winged helm. At tier 12, he gets a lightning effect on the armor. At tier 13, he wields the axe, not the hammer. What are your thoughts on this? I am always in support of cosmetics, and that's actually kind of in line with what I recommended to the devs. So the devs at one point actually asked me what I think about adding skins to the game, and I'd said that I like skins and that they could even have skins be part of the natural progression of a character, or reaching a certain threshold, or using them in a certain amount of battles, or getting them to a certain gear tier, things like that. So I love the idea, and I'm always in favor of more cosmetics, because cosmetics are, in my opinion, a super easy gameplay change to make that are just always popular. So yeah, I'm definitely for this. Alright, next up, Valley Flyin asks, is it true you stole this idea from Valley Flyin because he got a 7 Red Star character before you? All the best, Valley Flyin, inventor of the Marvel Strike Force Q&A. Good question. So actually, Valley Flyin stole this idea from me when he saw me doing Q&A on my live stream. Alright, next up, Pitful Monty Fix MSF asks, are you going to postpone episodes of Don't Buy Red Stars to support the spending boycott? No, in fact, one of the next upcoming videos is an episode of Don't Buy Red Stars. I would argue that a series literally called Don't Buy Red Stars is already supporting at least a partial spending boycott of Red Stars because, you know, the name of the series is Don't Buy Red Stars. Next up, your fave mascot, Spider, asks, forget the girls in bikinis, can we get a stream with you in a bikini? Unfortunately, no, because that is against Twitch's terms of service, and I would get banned, and I don't want to get banned from Twitch. For the right donation, if you PM me on Discord, maybe we can work something out. Next up, Thermal Shark asks, are they ever going to rename Bleed to Burn for characters like Pyro and Johnny? Also, I remembered that they were once considering to make Luke Cage immune to bleeds. Any update on that? Alright, so two questions here. Are they going to rename Bleed to Burn for characters that basically blast people with fire? I don't know if you've ever seen someone on fire or been to a burn ward or anything like that, but there's always a lot of blood involved, so I think calling it a bleed is still very accurate. Regarding the Luke Cage being bleed immune, so here's probably what you're remembering about that. So back when they were in the process of reworking the Defenders, I passed along a suggestion from my community to the devs, basically suggesting that Luke Cage be made bleed immune, and I was told at the time, oh, that is a really good idea. And so that's about it. Obviously, they did go ahead and rework the Defenders, and they did not include that detail, so yeah, as far as I know, they aren't planning any future reworks to the Defenders, but you never know. Alright, next up, Musashi33 asks, so we've seen a few different trials from the devs in Blitz, increased rewards on the second Blitz of a new tune, a 4-hour cooldown timer. What are your top 3 or 4 ways to improve Blitz? Oh man, let's see. So for starters, I would make a frag drop possible after every single match. Whichever character is in Blitz always has featured orbs for them in the store at the same time. So I would make every battle give you some amount of those orb frags, similar to ones they've done in the past. I don't know if you remember the Pyro Blitz, where you could get the Pyro orb frags, but I really like that. The difference was with that, it wasn't a guaranteed drop each Blitz. I would make it guaranteed orb frags each Blitz, and I think that that would definitely add enjoyment. I would add rolling Blitz milestones, and what I mean by that is just basically the same 2 or 3 rewards every so many wins. So for example, at 20 Blitz wins, and this is for any Blitz, you know, every 20 wins you get 50,000 gold. At 40 wins you get, I don't know, 10 T4s. At 60 wins you get, you know, 3 orange gear raid orbs, something like that, and then rinse and repeat. So at 80 wins, you get another 50,000 gold. At 100 wins, you get 10 more T4s, and it just keeps going and going. And that way, if you just keep playing and playing and playing, even if you don't get the rank you want, you feel like you are generating rewards by playing a lot of matches. So even if you're not getting as many points for those matches, because you're putting in the same amount of work by playing the same amount of matches, I think you should be able to get those rewards. So I would probably do something like that. And lastly, I would run multiple blitzes simultaneously. And so I would have like a veteran player blitz run alongside a more new player friendly blitz. So for example, I would do something like a Mr. Sinister blitz and a War Machine blitz at the same time. And that way, the more veteran players who already have a high star War Machine are mainly going to compete against one another in the Mr. Sinister blitz, and then the newer players are mainly going to compete against one another for War Machine, and it will allow people to choose, you know, based on how well they think they can do, which one they want to put more time in, or if they just want to get the milestones from both or something like that. But yeah, I think that would ultimately help with the level of competition in Blitz by making people generally who are closer to one another in power only competing with one another. So probably something like that. Next up, Jackie246 asks, how are you today? I'm doing good, thank you for asking. Next up, Pineapple Shawn asks, I am a mid-game player and have started early farming for Phoenix. Would you wait for Hela to become farmable, or would you farm Hand Assassin? I hate to invest time in a toon I would almost never use, and Hela is obviously very good. So, while Hela is obviously a better character than Hand Assassin, I wouldn't wait for a few reasons. Firstly, we don't know how or when Hela will next be available, so that could delay you longer than you want to be delayed. And the other thing is that even bad characters, it's not a bad thing to have them strong. Now, you don't have to like go overboard and make like a gear tier 13 T4 ability to hand assassin to pass this event, so you don't have to spend too many rare resources on the character. But having a stronger hand assassin is worth more points in Blitz. It is an extra character that you can use. Like, I use my hand assassin for mildly challenging fights in Alliance War because of how strong I had to get my hand assassin for the Phoenix event, so she actually packs a punch in war, so that's useful. And you never know when hand assassin is going to get a rework, so you may be unhappy with the resources you're putting in your hand assassin today, but if they rework hand in 3 months and hand assassin is one of the best minions on a team that has a comfortable spot in the meta, you'll be really happy that you already invested in that and don't have to put more resources. So I don't ever really feel bad powering up a character because I know that I'm going to get some value out of them in modes like War and Blitz, and eventually every character is going to see some kind of balance change to make them relevant at some point, or at least useful for some niche thing, even if it's like a handful of nodes in a Greek raid. So I wouldn't ever feel bad about powering up a character, and I wouldn't delay getting a character you really want based on an uncertain release schedule for another character. Alright, and our final question is from Anomaly Detected. They asked, do you feel like Scientist Supreme would be a nice addition to Symbiote? All those debuffs and extra heals, extended by Sim Spidey by a turn, brings res to the team, clears debuffs, which is something I don't believe they can do at all. I just have a feeling all that warrants her replacing at least Miles, as Spidey's stun is going to be too good to pass up. All speculation, I know. So, interestingly, I find original Spider-Man to be the most replaceable member of that team. Miles in particular brings debuffs that no one else does. He's got a Disrupt. He has a unique turn meter rewind in addition to multiple turns of slow, and he is part of the Venom combo in that he extends a bunch of debuffs right before Venom shares them with everyone. So I really, really like Miles on the team. He's also a bunch of their Dispel. Anytime he basic attacks into someone with a defense down, he removes positive effects, so I would not replace Miles. That said, if you check my top 5 teams infographic, which is in the infographics channel of the Discord right now, I actually have a hybrid symbiote raid team with Scientist Supreme on it, so you're very much on the right track. I do think that they make an excellent combo and a heck of a raid team. Alright, so that wraps up episode 1 of Ask Khasino, but I have already asked Vet to go fetch me questions because a lot of them have built up in there, so I want to release at least the first couple episodes real quick back to back, but I'm going to try to do this at least once a week, so we'll aim for Thursdays. So again, make sure to harass Vet on Discord if you want him to pick your question. Otherwise, thank you guys very much for tuning in. I hope you found these answers either helpful or at the very least entertaining, and I will see you guys real soon. Until then, peace!